Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm standing here with David McJannet, the Senior Director of Product Marketing for VMware. How are you doing today?
Doing well, thanks. Thanks for the time.
Great. Can you tell us a little bit about VMware and what you guys are doing?
Sure. So I think when people think about VMware, they think about virtualization and infrastructure. What we're talking about here today, yes, is a little bit about virtualization and infrastructure, but also around what VMware is doing at the, sort of the next layer up on the stack. Dating back to the acquisition of a company called SpringSource about 3 years ago, VMware really started focusing very concretely on the world of application infrastructure, so how people build, run, and manage applications. And that's really what we're talking about here today.
Okay. And so you're demonstrating this at the conference today right now?
Yeah, we are. So we're showing a little bit about what we're doing in the space, in particular around data. And I think Steve Herod talked this morning about some of the transition that's underway in the world of data. And clearly there's been a lot of noise and a lot of interest around this notion of big data, where people are trying to figure out how to deal with these big, huge quantities of data. And VMware's very active in that respect. Last week we announced a new open source project called Project Serengeti, which is about leveraging the construct of a VM to automate the deployment of Hadoop on virtual infrastructure. So, clearly that's one of our efforts there. We also have recently made an acquisition of a company called Cetus, which is a big data analytics company as well, which you'll hear more from us in the future. But the point that Steve made today, and really what we're talking about here, is the fact that there are actually two other vectors of change in the data landscape. One of those is around fast data, and one of those is around flexible data. Fast data being sort of an emerging category of data technologies that people are using to accelerate the response times for their apps. So basically speaking, it means sort of the trend towards the sort of next generation data technologies is largely going in memory, and there's lots of examples even here on the show floor today about how companies are embracing that trend. And in the world of fast data, VMware has a series of efforts, most notably around a technology called SQLfire, which was an acquisition we made a little over 2 years ago. The third vector of change is around flexible data, and that is sort of this idea that more and more developers are bringing in unstructured data technologies into their organizations. MongoDB is a great example of that. Redis, which is something that we have a real affinity for, given our relationship with the Redis community, is another axis there. So basically, that's what we're talking about here today, is really how there's these vectors of change in the data landscape around big data, fast data, and flexible data, and really some of the things we're doing to facilitate all three of those.
Okay. And then how does it fit into the cloud landscape?
Yeah, so I think the whole premise is that cloud changes everything. And in fact, one of the speakers made the comment today that this sort of generational shift to cloud is driving a sort of a rethinking of all the layers of IT, and applications and application data is just one of those. In fact, it was the gentleman from Google that was talking about how fundamentally sort of everything needs to be rewritten to kind of accommodate the reality of this quote-unquote cloud world, is pushing people to really rethink how the architecture of their stack fits together. And data is a fundamental aspect of that. And I think we try to categorize into those three categories of big, fast, and flexible.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, David. I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.